All right, here we go. Yo, what up, though, man? Got a Detroit legend in the building. KDEEZY, what up, my boy?
What up, dog? What up?
You know what I'm saying? Joy Road, exit 9, come up off that freeway.
You already know it. You know what it is.
Hey, man, I appreciate you sitting down with me, man.
Yeah, no doubt.
Man, I'm excited for this interview. I think as my platform grown, man, I always want to come back and get all the people that I was listening to coming up.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying, in the city.
That's what's up, man. Well, we want to make sure that we give you your flowers as well, because sometimes the history of Detroit rap and things like that get pushed out the way. You know what I mean? So to have someone like you who making sure that the right authentic people get in front of the camera and speak on Detroit rap history, we needed you and we thank you.
Hey, man, and you know what? Well, let me return flowers by saying congratulations for getting to kill a KFC on Joy Road. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they banging too, man. Actually, the owner actually sent me a DM and told me thank you, because I was just messing around. I didn't expect it to do what it did, you know what I mean? But it really, I guess it must have stirred the business up.
Hey, and I'm in Texas, so I saw it all the way down there. I was like, oh shit, it's a killer KFC.
Yeah, so now we got the new murder. Let me make sure we put new in front of that. The new Murder Mac. And we got the Killer KFC now.
Wait, what makes the Murder Mac new? I mean, I wrote past
because actually the new Killer KFC was the
old
Murder Mac. Yeah,
facts.
Yeah,
that's facts.
Yeah, the Murder Mac was actually where the Killer KFC is.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Man, so I'm excited to capture your journey, man.
No doubt.
Detroit native, West Side Joy Road, man. KDEEZY, like, what was that like growing up, man, on Joy Road, man? Because, you know, a lot of people on the outside, they looking in on Detroit. Detroit is crazy right now. Mm-hmm. And I think you are one of the ones who are like pioneers to help contribute to the culture to push it forward. Uh-huh. But I want to catch the journey. So before the KDEEZY, the world got to know, what was it like growing up on Joy Road, man?
Oh, man, it was beautiful. One thing that I really miss about, you know, like my days of being younger and coming up in the hood and shit like that was, we didn't really do no gang banging in Detroit. So everything for Detroit was about your neighborhood and where you from.
Facts.
You know what I mean? And not just repping it just because, oh, that's where you live at. We was really into our neighborhoods back in the day, to where we protected our neighborhoods. We took care of our neighborhoods. Yep. We didn't stand for nonsense going on in our neighborhoods. So like me, I love Joy Road so much because that's where I got damn near every angle of myself from. You know what I mean? Like even my beginning of my hustling days, going to school, my first fights, you know what I mean? All of those things happened for me growing up on Joy Road. So when people see me throwing up my hood and see how I represent my hood so hard, it's because of that. It's because I know that the man that I am today, a lot of it was built from where I'm from.
No, absolutely. Now, Joy Road was known for a place, man, hustlers, people making money.
No doubt.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of people came out of that way, man. Like, how was those influences? Or just because when people look at Detroit, like you can look at a lot of places around the world, but people not bougie like us, bro.
Yeah,
we like high quality, high fashion, novelty pieces. Like, bro, that's us, man. Like, what inspired you, like, growing up? What influences did you feel like you were seeing around you, man, that was pushing you forward to help you?
Well, first, I'll say this, because I know that the first thing that I'm going to say, some people will ask me, why would you say that? You know what I mean? But it's also a flip side to it. So the first thing that I want to say is that, shit, I watched all the hustlers in my neighborhood. You know, back in those days, man, entertainment and stuff like that wasn't as it is today.
For sure.
So for us, a lot of times growing up, we saw success from drug dealers and hustlers and the players and pimps and shit like that. So for me, growing up in my neighborhood and even in a situation like my oldest daughter, her uncle was you from my way too.
Yep.
So my daughter's uncle Hokey.
Okay.
Back when I was younger, my daughter's uncle, he was one of the guys who was controlling the neighborhood and really getting that paper back in the day. So even for me being young and looking at Hokey when I was growing up, you know what I mean? Like I can remember a point in time where to work for Hokey was like everybody in my neighborhood dream.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially if you was younger. You know, it was like, that was the thing. It was almost like if you got to go work for Hokey, you made it. You know what I'm saying? So So just growing up in my neighborhood and being around certain people like my brother Lario. My brother Lario was a real big figure in my neighborhood, period. You know what I mean? Like, and I was blessed to have him and to be under his wing the way that I was, because Lario was a guy who, he always had stuff since we was kids. He had cars with switches and old schools,
Yeah.
and you know what I mean? And trucks and cars and jewelry and stuff like that. So, back when I was real young, I say like my elementary, middle school days, I was really looking up to all the hustlers that was from my neighborhood. Now the flip side to it though is I also had those people in my neighborhood who gave me the game on how to carry myself,
For sure.
what to look out for. The people that taught me to, the single lady that's on the older lady that's on the block, cut her grass, and not when you go into the store, knock on her door and make sure she needs something from the store because she's older and she doesn't have a man at home with her. So, the snow coming down, go shovel her snow, and you know what I mean? All of those things to me, they build character. So, like I said, man, I just got a lot of stuff from my neighborhood and where I grew up.
Now,
I even went to church on Joy Road growing up.
There you go.
So, you know what I mean?
Now, prior to getting into music, man, like what was the aspirations for KDEEZY prior to music?
Well, to be honest with you, I would have to probably say what I'm doing now, which is acting.
Okay.
Because, as a youngster, I went to Ann Arbor Trail Middle School, which was one of the first charter middle schools back in the day. And to go to Ann Arbor Trail, you had to not only have good grades, but you had to have either play sports, or you had to be good at dancing or playing an instrument or acting or doing something. And fortunately, I was blessed enough to be very talented, so they sent me there. And once I got to Ann Arbor Trail, I took on drama class.
Okay.
I was in dance.
Okay.
I was in marching band. I played sports. You know what I'm saying? So honestly, back in the days, I think even now that's a part of what I'm coming back to, is finding my love for what I had love for as a child.
Got you. Now, at what point was like, because like you said, the Dope Boys was where our entertainment lied. You know what I mean? Of course, back in the day, we used to run and get the Source magazines, and those things was our connection to the outside world.
Mm-hmm.
But because at what point did you start to see entertainment, the rap aspect of things start to penetrate the hood and things of that nature? Like, who were some of the first ones you knew jumped out there actually rapping from Joy Road?
Okay, so as a child, I used to watch this thing called The Box. I know it's a lot of people that's not going to know what The Box is. But The Box was a station in the city that played videos 24 hours a day.
Yep.
And you could even call and pay like $1.25 or something like that, and you could request what video you wanted to watch or whatever. So growing up, watching The Box, I was able to see people like The Boss and Detroit's Most Wanted and MC Breed, God rest his soul, which is another person that God blessed me to meet him at a time when I became one of the biggest rappers in Detroit. And I thought that was such an honor, you know what I'm saying? Because I looked at Breed as a child growing up, and I can even remember the first time I seen Breed perform at a Summer Jams right before Bobby Brown. And when I watched Breed hit that stage and perform,
damn,
I could remember being that kid at Eliza Howell Park, and I was just standing there looking at MC Breed like, damn. You know what I mean? Because I knew that he wasn't from Detroit, but I knew he wasn't far from where we came from.
Absolutely.
So for me in my life, Breed was the first artist that I seen reach a certain level that was from where we from.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So but overall, like when I began to really decide that I wanted to do it myself, one thing I can honestly say is I never seen, because I was older at this time, so don't nobody quote me on, you know what I mean? But as I got older, to be able to see what the Streetlordz had did before they had even dropped the album, that I had never seen nothing like that. You know
now,
what I mean?
bringing up Streetlordz, like, because I interviewed Streetlord Rook. And, right now we in the big BMF era. Shout out to BMF, them boys, and things of that nature. But Rook made a quote saying that In Detroit, nobody wanted a BMF chain. Everybody wanted a Streetlord chain.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Yeah, you wanted to. Who didn't want to be a Cheddar boy?
Man,
And could say that shit honestly. You
like,
know, like the movement.
Go ahead, my
The
bad.
movement for the Streetlordz, it happened so rapidly, and you know, even for me, like you got to understand, I was a part of the Streetlord movement before I was actually an artist.
Got you.
You know what I mean? So even as the Streetlordz were moving, I was always around. I just hadn't even made up my mind that I wanted to rap myself yet. You know what I'm saying? So I got to, you know, see every angle of it from with them. You know what I mean? And being a part of it, I was like, wow, this is what the rap life is like. Now, as far as a person who actually just motivated me as one person who I really seen and made me say, oh no, fuck this, I want that, it was Tone. You know what I mean? But being around the Streetlordz, you know what I'm saying? Because even me, that's how I started rapping, because it was like, I got some money too, and I'm around and I'm doing what y'all, all that shit y'all rapping about, I'm doing it with y'all too. So it was like, I want to rap. But as far as the Streetlordz and BMF thing, BMF, I would say this, like people got to understand first, Big T and Meech, they names were well known.
Hell yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I have family out in Southwest Detroit and stuff like that. So Big Meech and T, their names were already have been out there being recognized as getting money. But to me, the actual BMF movement, where it started getting to a point where I was like, whoa, like what the fuck? That came down the line after Streetlord Cheddar Boy shit. You know what I'm saying?
So around what year did you decide to actually start like rapping like seriously, like pursuing it?
I would say I probably did my first song in probably like 2001.
Okay, 2001.
Yeah, maybe 2000. I did my cause what people don't know about me, right, is I had rapped on several songs that were on the Streetlord Masterpiece album, the second album. I rapped on maybe at least like 5 songs, and literally every verse that I spit got cut. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, wow.
So I didn't even make the second Streetlord album because my verses wasn't sweet. So Yacht cut me off the songs. But and even back then I was hurt about it at first.
Yeah.
But I'm so thankful for it now. You know,
Gotcha.
and I think that's what a lot more artists need. People like Yacht and Juan and, you know, the rest of them. People need that in their life because now everybody just think that they're, you know, no, man, you know what I mean? It's okay.
For
like
sure.
getting cut off them songs and not making an album is the shit that made me work harder and made me want it even more. You know what I'm saying? So
when it comes to like the Streetlord name, being that you so affiliated with him, why haven't you ever? I've never seen like Streetlord KDEEZY. It's just always kind of just been KDEEZY. Like,
well, number one thing too is, I was. It's difficult. So I wouldn't say I'm an original member of the Streetlordz.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because they already had something going. And like I said, I was around, but I wasn't even rapping. So to say that I was an original member from day one, that would be a lie. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
I'm not an original member. You know, I earned my way. From every angle, I earned my way into being a part of that family. And then once I even stood on my own too with the music, I just want to always make sure, that's one thing about me. I want people to recognize me for what I do. I don't want nobody to look at me and try to say, oh, that's because it is, or because it is, and because it is. So far as me, I never felt like I had to put the name on there. I believe that the people who know what it is, they know what it is. You know what I'm saying? So I just don't think that that's something I had to do.
now, I was talking to and I never understood. I never realized. I always got confused of like the like we saying like the Cheddar Boys versus Eastside Cheddar Boys. I never realized it was like 2 sides to that part, and that Cheddar Boys and Streetlordz is the same exact thing. But can you kind of break down a little bit like Cheddar Boy versus Streetlord, like as far as it being the same, like what makes it the same?
Okay, so one thing I like to use, and this is only because this is now to date now. So when you look at people like Team Eastside, for instance, right?
Yeah.
They all are one group. They're one conglomerate, right? But then when you go deeply into Team Eastside, you see that it's Ghetto Boys, it's the Green Guys,
Yeah.
it's Iced Up Records, it's, you know what I mean, Wavy Gang. These is all branches from the Team Eastside tree.
Gotcha.
So it's the same thing from the Streetlordz tree. You know, you had like Dirty Glove. We were our own family. You know, the Streetlordz was the main thing.
Okay.
You know, the main thing off of the tree. But then you had Dirty Glove. You know, then you had the Eastside Cheddar Boys came about. You know what I'm saying? So even in a situation with the Eastside Cheddar Boys, it was like, far as my story, I remember riding with Jesse James, and Jesse was like, I want you to listen to something and tell me what you think about it. And he stuck a CD in, and on this particular CD that he had, it had like 3 or 4 songs on it.
Okay.
And the 3 or 4 songs that he had on it, it was them. It was the Eastside Cheddar Boys. But I want to say that even when I heard these songs, I don't think they even had a name of they crew yet. So it was like I heard the songs, and Jesse was on like 2 or 3 of the songs, and Lil TJ was on the songs and stuff like that. And I thought the songs were some of the most hottest shit I had ever heard out of Detroit, honestly, when I first heard it. So from my understanding, it was a situation where Jesse was kind of like dealing with them the most, and he was working with them the most. And it was like, you know, what should we call ourselves? What do you think? You know, and Jesse was like, yo, what you think about calling yourselves the Eastside Cheddar Boys? You know what I'm saying? So that's how that came about. And, you know, we were all one family, one big family. Like, even if you go back and listen to the music, when you listen to an Eastside Cheddar Boy album, you hear all the Streetlordz on there. When you hear the Streetlordz albums, you hear the Eastside Cheddar Boys on there. You know what I'm saying? So that was kind of like how everything started. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
Now, with your song In My Hood, man, take me, man, because I can remember when I first heard that shit. That shit went crazy. Like, the inspiration, and I think at this time, this is what, like 2000 what? Is it?
Well, I actually recorded In My Hood, I believe in 2004, but it didn't actually come out until 2005.
Got you.
Yeah.
Now, this is a time like you got the Kings of Crunk, that Lil Jon kind of movement, crunk sound movement. What were your influences when you created that song? And like, take me through that process.
Okay, so first of all, shout out to Kid, the producer. I met Kid. So what happened was one day, you know, I had started picking up a little buzz from doing records I was on Juan's album, The Real Me. I had been on 2 of Blaze projects. I was on the Dirty Glove album. And maybe a couple of more things I had been on. So once people started to see that I was getting good, and people were looking at me like, you know, he can perform and he knows, you know, he know how to do these things. So it was kind of like Juan started taking a liking into me as an artist the most.
Okay.
And I remember one day Juan, he called me and he said, you know, if you could work with any producer on an album, who would you want to work with? And I was like, give me a minute and I'll get back at you on that. I need to find some things out. So at the time, BG was fresh from leaving Cash Money Records with Birdman, Lil Wayne, and all of them.
Yeah.
And BG dropped maybe like 3 songs and 3 videos. And he winded up on that project. He winded up going platinum on that project once he left Cash Money. So when I was listening to his songs and watching the videos, every song that he was doing, I was like listening to the beats, and I was like damn, who doing BG beats? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And sure enough, man, it just so happens that I found out that the guy who was doing BG beats was from Detroit, Michigan. So I called Juan back the next day, and I was like, man, listen. I said, I just did my homework, and I found out that they saying, I don't know how true this is, but they saying this guy who produced BG's last album is from here, and his name is Kid. And Juan was like, give me 48 hours. I'm going to find him and see what I can find out. So like 48 hours later, Juan called me, and he was like, I found him. I was like, yeah. He was like, yeah. He was like, actually, I got a meeting with him. I'm going to meet with him today. And Juan, I guess, went to the meeting with him or whatever. And Kid was originally under the impression that he was going to do an album with Juan because he wanted to work with Juan. And Juan ended up telling him the situation. So he gave Juan a beat CD with 2 beats on it. Juan brought the CD to me and he was like, Kid said, if you write a dope song on one of these beats, that he'll consider doing an album on you. So long story short, I ended up writing to both beats.
Okay.
The first song that I wrote was Bang. Second song that I wrote was Meet Me on the Floor. So after I recorded them 2 records with Kid, he was like, hell yeah. Like, no, he like, I'm fucking with dude. Matter of fact, I don't want to do nothing else but work with him. So maybe, I say maybe like 2 weeks after we had started working together, we began to create a system. And the system was either I would show up at Kid's house early in the morning every day and he would have a beat plan and he would direct me. He wouldn't write for me, but he would direct me. He would say, if I came in a particular day, he would say, you hear this beat right here? I need you to talk about your real life. Talk about something that hurt you in your life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
And then he would leave me in the room and he would just leave and come back and he'd be like, you finished? I'd be like, yeah. He'd be like, come on, let's record it. So that was like our thing. So I started to reverse it on him, which brings us to the In My Hood thing. So one day I woke up early in the morning. I was getting dressed to go to Kid's house, and while I'm in the shower, certain female, but I don't want to say her name, but a certain female that I was dating at the time, she was talking junk to me while I was in the shower because she was from 7 Mile.
Okay.
So she was like, y'all Joy Road niggas kill me, something. And I was like, girl, you better shut up. You might get shot in my hood. So she was like, boy, shut up. Ain't nobody gonna do nothing, whatever. So then I was just playing around in the shower and I kept saying it. I was like, you might get shot in my hood, get stuck in my. So it started coming so dope to me that soon I jumped out the shower. I ain't dry off or nothing. I just threw the towel around me, grabbed my phone, I called Kid, and I said the hook to Kid over the phone. I was like, man, I just came up with this shit. I was like, I don't know what you gonna do with it, but I feel it. And he was like, say it. So I started saying it to him on the phone, and he was like, you know what? He was like, don't even come over here today. Come over tomorrow. And I was like, all right. So maybe, I think it was probably like 6 o'clock in the morning. It was like 6 o'clock in the morning the next day. And he was like, I don't care what you doing. Come to my house right now. I got the beat for that song that you was saying to me. So I'm like, man, come on, man. He like, man, get up right now and come straight to my house. Come now. Stop playing. I'm like, man, all right, man. So I get up, brush my teeth, all of that, throw some on. I wasn't that far from his crib, so I shot down to his crib. I walk in the crib and I hear the beat playing.
Yeah.
So Kid was like, come on, get in the booth. Let's lay this hook. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, because I haven't even. He's like, man, just get in the booth and just say what you're going to say. So I'm like, all right. So I go in there and I lay the hook. Then once I come out, I'm like, it was like the words just started coming out my mouth. You know what I mean? So first I thought I was going to make this song just about my neighborhood. And then by the time I got to the second verse, I was like, no, I said, you know what? This is my opportunity to clean up all the mess that's going on in the streets in the city. Because it was a lot of Eastside, Westside stuff going on. Different neighborhoods was beefing. So I said, well, I got the platform. So here's my opportunity to close the gap on some of that shit. So with my second verse, I started just talking about other neighborhoods. And once we did that, then Kid was like, he started changing up drum patterns. That's why you hear the ding, 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 ding. He started changing all that. And we in the studio going crazy. So then we get into this big argument because Kid was like, he cut the music off. He was like, what you think about me screwing your voice? I was like, yeah, try it on the hook. That'll work. He said, no, not the hook. What if I do it to your verses? So I'm like, man, hell no, don't screw mine. It's going to sound like somebody else rapping. And Kid was like, listen, bro, you just got to listen. So we argued for like 2 hours, and he finally said something that he could have said 2 hours prior. He was like, if it don't work, I could just click it off and it'll go back to you. And I said, you should have said that 2 hours ago. So he decided that he wanted to screw the verse because he felt like, at that time, like you said, the crunk thing was going on and people were screwing stuff, but they were screwing their hooks.
Yeah.
Kid said, we're going to flip it. We're going to screw the verse and not the hook. So I was like, then once he played it and I started hearing myself going, I'm from Joy Roll, exit nag. I was like, oh! Oh! So, the rest is history though. But man, it was one of them. In My Hood too was one of those records where it wasn't accepted at first like people would think it would be. It wasn't accepted at first. We went through a hard battle, a hard fight with In My Hood because people had never really heard records like that on the radio before.
Yeah.
Back in the days, radio really catered to women and children. So for me to be coming up talking about different neighborhoods and gangster shit and all of that kind of stuff, trying to get it played on the radio was very hard. Like we really had to go make the streets is who forced them to play In My Hood. Yeah, it's my first time ever even going to a meeting and bringing my record to a radio station was In My Hood, and everybody was turning it down. And me and Kid and Juan, we knew in our hearts that this record was something. We knew it was something. You know what I mean? But the response we was getting from radio was like, nah, come with another record. Come with a dance song or come with a girl song or, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. And Juan was determined. Juan knew that In My Hood was the record.
I'm going to put you on the spot real quick. What are your top 4 most influential Detroit hip hop songs of all time that you felt like helped put Detroit on the map?
A lot of times within Michigan, people try to, if you're from another city in Michigan or whatever, a lot of times it becomes that argument of, I ain't really from Detroit and this and that. But as we can even see today, the Flint boys are winning again.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Shout out to all the boys in Flint that's doing their thing. I'm watching y'all. I love y'all music. I support y'all. And I say all of that because, like I told you in the beginning, MC Breed was definitely influential to me in my life and my story.
Okay.
And being that Breed was from Flint, you know what I mean? I don't know about nobody else, but I still claimed him as one of ours.
That's fair.
You know what I'm saying? So when I look at records like Ain't No Future in Your Front, you know what I mean? When I see a guy from where we from who was able to do records with Tupac, that was very influential to me.
Absolutely.
Definitely my own homies. My homies is the shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you talking about Blade Icewood, you know what I mean? Come on, man. Come roll with a nigga still fucking shit up.
Facts.
Damn near 25 years.
Hell yeah.
You could put In My Hood. You could put Come Roll with a nigga. You could put I could keep naming songs that, from out my camp that still to this day going very doing. I mean, you been out? Have you been to the nightclubs here?
Not recently.
When you in the nightclubs in Detroit and our music come on, it could change the whole energy in the club.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? So definitely MC Breed, my crew. I love Mossy Ski.
Okay.
Mossy Ski, man, Mossy Ski like a godfather to me. You know what I mean? When I talk about, because even Mossy Ski, I met Trick Trick when I was about 12 or 13 years old. And Trick Trick, far as a rapper who I was able to really see moving around, it was like Trick Trick. You know what I mean? And Trick Trick to me, he gave me those Mossy Ski vibes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Mossy Ski to me was so dope. You know what I'm saying? When I was young. And even Boss. Boss was like, because she was, think about how long ago that was when, and Boss was like, she was a female, but she was so gangster. And you talking about 90s.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, definitely I really look to the old Detroit hip hop when I say what really influenced me. I really look at all the greats, all the GOATs. I look up to them because, where would we be without them?
No, that's real.
You know what I mean? They laid the pathway for us, and as hard as it was for me, I know it was 3 times harder for them. So for them to do the things that they did and stuff like that, I would have to say that those are the people who really influenced me, along with my own crew.
Yeah.
And Rockbottom, of course.
For sure.
Because Rockbottom was doing their thing too at the same moment that the Streetlordz was, we were doing our thing. Rockbottom was doing their thing too. And I actually, even though we had an issue or whatever at one point in time, I can't even lie to you, I was still a fan. I was a fan of their music. You know what I'm saying?
What would you think of a Streetlordz Rockbottom like versus? Like city-wise, like something at the 5, something crazy like.
So it was some things, I don't know if you hip to it or not, but it was some things that have been stirred up in the past couple of months about that.
Yeah.
And due to so many entities being involved, and I just think that it's something that's not gonna happen.
Gotcha.
But I'm gonna be flat out honest with you, and them boys know I love them. Them my boys. Everybody on Rockbottom, them my dogs. I love them, but they know I'm gonna tell the truth. Rockbottom could not possibly see the Streetlordz Cheddar boys in no verses. Reason why? It's not because of talent or none of that. It's about they don't have enough music to stand next to us. It's too much music. You know what I mean? We really, really, in my mind, we outworked them. And that's not a diss or nothing like that. It's just that we outworked them. Every rapper in the Streetlordz crew at least put out 1 project, if not 2 or 3, plus all the Streetlordz projects and Dirty Good projects and mixtapes, and it's just too much. It's too much. I honestly don't think Rockbottom could see me one-on-one in a verse. So, I mean, but again, they great. I was a fan, still am a fan. I still love their music. I done did songs with all of them. And even now, like all of us, we get a laugh, we joke about it. We all hang out with each other. It's love there, and I'm talking about genuine love. You know what I mean? So it's not really no diss, but I mean, they can't. I feel like after about 12 songs or 10 songs, if that, it's gonna be a wrap.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah.
Now coming up, man, like I know you're doing your thing. The movies is going crazy, especially in Detroit. Like, what's the move going forward? Like now that you heavy into acting, and where does music stand now for you?
Well, honestly, I had kind of lost the passion for it, I should say. I didn't lose the passion for music. I had kind of lost the passion for making music because I found myself in a place. One thing about me when I began rapping, especially with the dudes that I came up around, a lot of people, we were really into rapping about what we really lived and what we really did and what we really was on.
Yeah.
So once I found myself in a place where my lifestyle had changed, it was like I felt awkward about certain things that was coming out of my mouth. So I became a little bit conscious on making music just due to my maturity and growing. And I looked at it like I would be a fraud if I tried to. I ain't standing on no blocks no more. I ain't running around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm still in the hood. I still do things. I'm still active with people and stuff, but I'm not living that life to where I feel like I would be okay with getting in front of a microphone and talking all crazy like I'm living like that, and I'm not no more. You know what I mean? Like,
Gotcha.
my mindset is not even on what a 26-year-old man mindset would be on. You understand what I'm saying? So really, like, I kind of feel like those are the things that kind of move me towards, I love doing film. Like even now, like I said to you when we was off camera, I love the film industry so much that I don't even have to be, I could be behind the camera. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't have to be in front of it. I love every aspect of it. So even like now, I'm getting ready to start filming my first movie that I actually written myself. It's called Red Flags.
Okay.
So right now I'm in rehearsals and working with my cast, and we begin filming on April the 8th. So, this will be my first movie where I'm actually starring in it, directing. I wrote it, everything. You know what I'm saying? So that alone to me should tell anybody how serious I am about the film industry.
For sure. Being that the whole film industry is starting to get big in Detroit. I mean, was big in Detroit. Mm-hmm. Always have been. Y'all, I just got a major Detroit film education off camera.
Yeah.
Like, what do you feel like is going to be what takes you to that next level, or take someone to like that major Hollywood status, or well, we're in the streaming age. Hollywood status may not be irrelevant now, but become like a major streaming entity. What would it take for a director such as yourself to get there?
Well, it's actually happening right now, and that's why I got to say shout out to my man Dennis Reed. My man Dennis Reed, he is the first person that I could say that I actually seen who doing the movies, and he did plays and stuff like that. And even when you're around Dennis and you just have a conversation with him and stuff like that, and see where his mind at, his vision for everybody is so big. It's not just himself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's seeing where he looking at it and he's going, everybody can get in here and make them some money. Everybody can, if you serious about this, you can get in this and learn. So like I'll give you a perfect example. Like for myself, these last couple of years, the roles that I've taken to be in the movies, I really did those roles so that I could be a student. And it was never about the money for me. It was more so like, if I want to do this and I'm gonna do this, I need to get on somebody's movie set, and I need to learn what everybody do, what everybody position is. So while I was on set in the last 6, 7 movies I did, every movie that I was on, I wanted to know, what is the light man doing? What kind of light is that? What kind of camera is that? Yo, what kind of lens is that you put on the camera? Why did you put that there? You know what I mean? The person who, I didn't know that it was a person who lock you in locations, and I didn't know it was,
Yeah.
everything. So just the thing about the film industry for me is it's so many different things and jobs and stuff that go on. It's a great thing. Like even me now doing my film in a little bit over a month or so, I'm gonna actually be employing over 70 people.
Sheesh.
In between my cast and everybody who's got to do something. That's 70 people who are going to take a paycheck home and feed their families from me saying that my dream is to do a movie.
Oh, that's crazy.
So over 70 people, I will be able to employ them for doing one movie.